All right, we are getting into some really interesting games here. On the bottom half, we have DK, who has brought Scargrounds, Asol Tryndamere, Targon's Peak, and Overwhelm. And then on the top there, we have Jake, who also brought Overwhelm, this time with Sivir, Lee Sin Zoe, very, I would assume,
with
standard
Veil
Lee Sin
Temple.
deck.
With
And
Veil
then
Temple.
deep. Veil Temple's in it. Yeah, nobody's allowed to play normal here on the Asia server. So no Sejuani in this list from Jake. Instead, going for the triple Sivir. And Scargrounds is a deck that... Scargrounds is weird. It does very well into both Thresh Nasus and Lysandra. But sometimes, more of a percent of the time than most players would care to admit, the deck just doesn't function.
Yeah, it's got some pretty bad openers, and not even just like drawing the top end of your curve, but just drawing like all of your cheap spells with no units. Because that's the thing about all of your spells. They only really have an impact if you've developed tempo and units onto the board. And sometimes that's a problem. It is interesting to note, too, this Crimson Bloodletter, if you guys are familiar, there was a bug where if you summoned Braum after the Crimson Bloodletter, it would proc on both Braum and the Poro that came out, and it would get double buff. That is no longer a thing. RIP. I actually kind of liked that. It made the deck a little bit better. But
speaking of RIP, we saw the bans there in the bottom corner. Lee Sin was banned out of Jake, and Targon's Peak was banned out of DK.
So what you're saying is we're not going to see peak gameplay here, Boulevard, right?
Yeah, I was hoping that there are a lot of puns where I never want to make them. I never wanted to let anybody say unbench the Kench. I never wanted to say peak gameplay. There was another one recently that I can't quite think of, but interesting build out of Jake for sure, right? You know, we see the Sivir there in the top left corner, a substandard champion. Xenotype Researchers, also a very substandard card, but I like this card a lot, actually.
Yeah. I do like Xenotype Researchers. I've always liked it. I will say a lot of people I feel are moving to 3 Renekton, 2 Sejuani, or sorry, 2 Renekton, 1 Sivir, 3 Sejuani for Overwhelm.
Really? I feel like Renekton's the most important champion there, but maybe we just haven't been seeing the same lists.
I don't know. I know, like, I saw it on Mobalytics on their tier list as well. Like, I feel like most people, if they're playing Sivir, they're only running one of, and that's essentially why I'm mentioning it, is I'm surprised to see a 3 of Sivir as, like you said, kind of a substandard champion, but we're really going all in on it here. And even the Rite of Negation is not something I feel like we typically see in this Overwhelm deck, but here it is, and a 3 Sisters as well.
Yeah, players really willing to experiment with this one. I know Ice Shards was even a late-stage adaptation that came out of some of the players. Just to push a little bit more Overwhelm damage, deal with some of the aggro matchups, and we do see the Sivir off the top. Didn't get a chance to check if it was buffed by the Xenotype Researchers because it is the second hand, so that's not something we're going to be able to really play towards or talk about too much from a casting perspective because it is too hard to catch whether or not every top-decked unit is hit by the Xenotype, but this is a really awkward-looking hand for Jake.
Yeah, a lot of spells again. I mean, we just talked about the Scargrounds, I should say, deck having a similar problem, and same deal with Overwhelm. Overwhelm, actually, both these decks very similar in that regard. They can both draw high cost units, and they can't really play anything for the first couple of turns. Or in this case, we see Troll Chants and Exhausts and all these card Battle Furies as a 2-of. It always feels really bad to draw multiple Battle Furies over early on, because really all you need is one in the entire game. You just have to guarantee draw it to really finish and close things out. So not a whole lot that we can do on the side of Jake. I think we're kind of forced into playing. Actually, I think Xenotype Researchers make sense here, so I'm actually surprised to see that pass back, but we are going to get a really big attack coming through from Vladimir and good old Tarkaz. God, I love Tarkaz, man. I'm so happy to see him just getting played now.
I am a little curious about whether or not we can actually push enough damage onto one of these units to guarantee a lethal with Battle Fury on the following turn. I feel like the answer is no, but actually, I think if you just Battle Fury and take the damage, you win next turn with Entomb. And I think that's a hard guaranteed victory. Whereas now, while this should be a guaranteed victory, the double transfusion is going to actually let you trade with this Ruin Runner.
Yeah, transfusion, man. In decks like this, transfusion is such a huge swing. It can buff up your units so fast. Unfortunately, though, actually, I was going to say it's not going to get like a side effect, but we do have the Scargrounds on the field. So not only are you going to get transfusion, you're going to get additional damage pushed through.
This is so risky because the Vladimir's going to 6 attack because of the Tarkaz ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you just take this damage,
Mm-hmm.
and once you lock in the no blocks and just go down to, however little, it doesn't really matter without a it's been so long I forgot Crimson Disciple. Almost forgot the name of the card. It's been so long since it was relevant. Actually, do you just die to double transfusion here because you played the Battle Fury?
Oh, wait, you 8, 16, 17. No, you're 2 off, right? Yeah.
Are you?
Oh, wait. No, does everything... No! That's game! That's game!
All we had to do was not play the Battle Fury in combat. Jake missequenced the way in which they thought about this and threw the game for it.
DK taking game 1.
We were just off cam talking a little bit about that last game. Definitely unfortunate for Jake there. All they had to do, like, if you don't play the Battle Fury in combat, you don't give your opponent the priority sequence back to play the transfusions.
Yep.
And we could have thrown away the Xenotype Researcher. It wasn't necessary for the lethal. Jake had it on the following turn and just played his card at the wrong time and got punished by the priority sequences in Legends of Runeterra, which is one of the more skill-based factors of the game, right? Is how the priority sequences work and things like that. So that's where a lot of skill expression comes from. So unfortunately, Jake having what seemed like a really minor misstep there actually being a major misstep and a game-losing one at that. But now we're going to get an Overwhelm mirror. And this almost feels like a pseudo mirror, kind of like earlier in the day when we saw Leona Aesol versus Aesol Shyvana. Like, it's a pseudo mirror because while these players are playing the same deck, these are very different builds.
Yeah, and I was talking earlier about the ratio of champions. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's the Sejuani that was the 2 of instead of the Renekton. Because we do see here the 3 Renekton and the 1 Sivir. I always confuse the ratios on that one. So less Sivir on the side of DK. We'll see if Sivir actually makes a difference here in this mirror match. But Preservarium to get started for Jake in comparison to a Ruthless Raider and a Trapper for DK. Feels like DK 100% is going to have the tempo here to get things started. Problem is turn 4, we don't have anything great right now, where Jake... actually, sorry, they both will have a Yeti on turn 4 after it gets reduced for one more turn. So we might just see the exchange of the Yetis here coming up, or Jake could actually go with the Sivir.
The Yeti exchange, I think, really favors Jake because they'll have the attack token and they can go in with the exhaust.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little surprised not to see DK use the exhaust that turn to let the... let your 3-1 live, your Ruthless Raider, but we are going to go for the Sivir instead, and a Yeti here would be pseudo disastrous. That Yeti, though, that Yeti's going to be fine. We do have
I like that.
Troll Chant should we choose to go for something like that, and that'll be a really nice way to pop the Spell Shield, which matters, surprisingly, because it will give you the opportunity to exhaust the Sivir then.
Yeah, Troll Chant's such a good card in this deck. There's a reason why it's played as 3 of most of the time, and just in general, if you're always holding open Troll Chant mana, it really impacts the way that your opponent can go about their combat phase. They have to really think about going in with everything because you can usually set up a kind of 2-for-1 trade with Troll Chant depending on how the blocks line up. So I definitely like the Enraged Yeti as opposed to Ancient Yeti there. And, Ancient Yeti just gets better as you hold them on in hand. So we'll see what kind of attack we got this turn.
I'm like, the more I look at this deck from Jake, the more I'm noticing different things like this Flash Freeze in hand, which I don't think you really put that in the deck and said, man, I can't wait to play the Overwhelm Mirror in top 8 and Flash Freeze somebody off of their Battle Fury, but it does do that.
I'm not going to lie, especially, last game, I will say we kind of discussed was possibly like a misplay there, but I'm not crazy about a lot of the decisions here on the side of Jake, just because these do kind of feel like just random, like, hey, let's throw 3 Sisters in here for this one occasion, and let's throw Flash Freeze for Battle Fury, and let's throw Rite of Negation in case this happens. Like I understand them. I'm just not ecstatic about them, especially when you're playing 3 Xenotype Researchers. So it's just, I feel like that's less aggression that you're drawing when that's what this deck wants to do. And I've always talked about the ability to go all in on your strategy and how that affects your win rate in any type of deck.
Yeah, and the Xenotype Researchers out of Jake was a replacement for the Avaros and Trapper, and I feel like those 5/5 Yetis in this matchup especially really help you fight for the board, whereas the Xenotype, as we saw in the previous game, maybe you don't even draw the cards that got the +3/+3.
I'm curious too because those Yetis actually do really well in the Nasus Thresh lineup matchup when they're trying to go the aggressive route to try to basically just beat you down before you get a board established. They really help you come back in that matchup. So I'm curious. Jake has probably seen that up until this top cut. I don't know if Jake actually took this to the first week for seasonals or if the lineup was changed going into the top 8 now that we're in. So
I really like Rockhopper in this matchup. I feel like this makes the lines out of DK here really awkward.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a way to prevent a kill onto whatever we play thanks to the Troll Chant, but it definitely doesn't feel good. And I don't think that's a resource that you really want to pre-commit like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that card in general. Like, I remember when I first saw it come out, I was like, I don't know how good this is going to be, but I really like the idea of summoning that landmark and granting vulnerable for something like Renekton. Here, it's actually going to go ahead and hit this Ancient Yeti, which I don't think we feel too bad about. Sivir could pick that off, but we have the Troll Chant to defend here pretty well.
And we hard telegraph the Troll Chant by exhausting the Sivir first, but I don't know how much that matters. It could even just be one of those 10-headed bluffs, but I don't. Those are the weird kind of bluffs where you make it and you don't know if your opponent is actually going to see the bluff
or even play around Troll Chant.
A little bit confused about what you did.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have a Troll Chant here and your opponent says, what the heck was that for? Let me just attack it. There's a chance that you just lose your Yeti.
Yeah.
And you tried to 10-head it a little bit too much. But in the top 8 of a seasonal, you would hope that those kinds of big brain reads are something that your opponent is going to be making. But it does make things a lot more awkward for Jake here. But at the same time, if you attack with your Yeti into your opponent's Yeti, even if they Troll Chant, you're not losing anything.
This is not good for Jake. I mean, so many attack phases we have just passed, and I don't know with some of the options that Jake has, like the Flash Freeze, being able to prevent huge swings of damage, I don't know if maybe we're thinking we'll just be able to win in the long game here.
Jake still has the Battle Fury advantage, which I think is... But you don't have the life advantage, and I think that's why Jake is playing so slowly at the moment, just trying to go as wide as possible and then push through a lethal with a Battle Fury and do a lot to DK's board on the attack turn. Maybe even go for a single swing Sivir level.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Sivir leveling up in one swing, so that is something to look out for. I do think Jake right now with the Shaped Stone actually has the landmark advantage after getting that landmark summoned a couple turns ago, roiling sands there. So we'll be able to get the additional attack with that. So, I mean, we will likely be able to put together a very, very big swing here, but I don't know if we're even going to live to that. I think we can set up between the Flash Freeze and the Troll Chant. I think we got decent enough blocks here. And this does get rid of a decent amount of the board, actually, too, after everything is said and done of DK. So I think, actually, Jake here, after all these trades are said and done, next turn when we swing with Battle Fury and Shaped Stone, I don't know if there's anything that DK can actually do about it.
I don't think that's going to be lethal, though.
Yeah, are we just short if we... All right, how are we lining these up?
I think this is the correct way to line it up, because now if you lock in blocks, you're not dying. Right? I don't think you were dying before, rather. I think you were taking 6 going down to 1, which is, like, fine. We do still have Troll Chant Flash Freeze available in order to pop the Spell Shield on the Ruin Runner and survive if there is a Shaped Stone coming out, which we do see in DK's hand. So I think Jake's going to live, but I think his board suffers for it more.
Ooh. Okay, so this saves your Ancient Yeti, but I think now you sacrifice your Sivir. Yeah, so that actually worked out a little bit better for DK there, so I'm not crazy about that Troll Chant. I think actually Sivir, all right, no, Sivir's still saved by the Shaped Stone here with the quick attack. And then technically we could, oh no, that's going to put her up to 6. All right, so I was going to say the other Shaped Stone is going to...
If Jake Flash Freezes this Yeti to save Sivir, Shaped Stone is actually not lethal. DK hasn't played a landmark.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's still +1/+1.
Yeah,
Jake has that advantage still.
So Jake is guaranteed living here, but I still feel like they're not winning on the following turn, and losing the Sivir is a really big deal. You're still gonna have your Yeti, you're still gonna have your Ruin Runner, but even if you Battle Fury, I think that it's not going to be too hard for DK to just finish off that last bit of damage on the following turn. I don't love this flash freeze. I don't know how important Sivir is here.
Well, and even so, I feel like Shape Stone would have been. Oh no! Okay, no.
Well, Shape Stone's +3/+1. You wouldn't live there.
Yeah. Well, no, and I'm thinking the quick attack, but you don't have the attack token, so.
Yeah.
Oh, now we actually. All right, so we have a 3 sisters off top too, so that does give us access to Entomb. I don't know if we have enough mana. It's actually impossible to do Battle Fury and that. Well, actually, yeah, no, that's 14. So. And we don't have Battle Fury mana available now. So we are definitely going the long game. So this is what I was thinking Jake was trying to do earlier, where we just whittled down DK, but I don't know.
We're going to be left with our Sivir here, but we're not killing lethal. DK. DK gets to establish 2 units.
That's really risky.
Unless... It's so hard not knowing what Sivir's at.
I feel like she's going to level up this turn.
But on which attack? Because whichever attack she levels on is when she starts giving everybody quick attack. And with the way that we're lining things up right now, I would assume and hope that she is leveling on her own attack so that the Ruin Runner does get the quick attack. But I still think DK is pushing through lethal on the following turn with Renekton and Sivir and being able to keep this Yeti around. Maybe we are just one shy.
Well, we could actually play Battle Fury on defense. So if Renekton does have the which Renekton has Overwhelm, if you play the Battle Fury, no damage would come through. I mean, it's really the way that Jake has played this, trying to play it out a little bit longer, super risky in a matchup like this where any turn your opponent can just swing Overwhelm damage in their direction.
Yeah, we do have a Frostbite type effect.
Yeah, exactly.
In the 3 sisters, so
yeah, we have more draw for Preservarium. So
yeah,
I mean, so I think honestly. Maybe this is why some of those one-ofs that we were talking about earlier that I was kind of criticizing Jake for, this is why we're seeing them is almost entirely for the mirror match. Because not for nothing, I do feel like... So Overwhelm is really... that did just level.
This is lethal, right? Since the Sivir's level.
Oh.
Giving Spell Shield to everything does mean that we are just 100% dead on the side of DK. We only have 2 blockers for the 3 attackers.
No, you could still do Battle Fury Flash Freeze. No, we don't have...
You can't Flash Freeze 9, anything.
10, 12. Oh, because they would all have...
Spell Shield, you're only at 2. I'm pretty sure, unless we top deck something to pop a Spell Shield, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Oh, wow. There's... I hope not. I almost want Jake's strategy to work out here because of, like, going down to 2, man. That's just so risky. I want to see the payoff, but I think you might be right. Leveling Sivir like that is just... That's just too much.
That one of Sivir.
Yeah,
it's the difference maker here.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels really bad when you're the one playing 3 Sivir and you actually lose to the leveled Sivir when your opponent's only playing one of them. Like, so we have to open attack though. Oh, there's actually another. Yeah,
we have no choice but to open attack. Might as well just run it out, and that's gonna give everything the quick attack and spell shield. Make sure that Sivir is the last attacker so that she doesn't get like randomly blocked somewhere along the way, and then the quick attack falls off. Not that it matters in an instance like this, but it is nice to order your attackers properly where you can, and I am not seeing a way out of this for Jake.
Yeah, there it is. DK taking game 2 and moving on to the top 4 semifinals.